Hey YouTube, make sure that you like, subscribe, and share and comment. And let me tell you why it's so important for you guys to subscribe right now. Because when I get to 1,000 subs, if you guys aren't following me on Instagram, then you don't know this. But if you are, then you do. So you could just go ahead and skip past this part. But I'm doing a 1,000 sub giveaway. And right now we are climbing up to the top, okay? I'm manifesting it. We're going to get there quickly. This is what I want you guys to do. Sub up, make sure that you also turn your post notifications on, because days before the giveaway, I'm going to make sure that I notify you guys on all my platforms and let you guys know that a live will be happening at a certain time. When the time is presented, you guys need to be actively in the live. Number one thing that you guys have to do, and it's completely free, but you have to be subbed up. If you are part of the live, you need to be able to present. And I can see who's subbing to me. Face, username, and all. Okay? So if you are subbed to me, the username is going to have to make sense. And you're going to have to obviously, prove it if you are raffled up. Because guess what? I'm going to put your name inside of a basket. And I'm going to choose. And I'm going to be able to see what subscriber has spontaneously won the gaming massage gaming chair, basically. So yeah, I'm gonna remind you guys on Instagram. So if you guys are seeing this, follow me on Instagram at ItskeaRenee, and I'm KeaRenee, which is the Urban Traveler's main Instagram page. Okay, so the universal law of harmony. Let's get straight into it, right? Into this. So what is that, right? This law supersedes even the law of karma. Okay, and I feel like they go hand in hand, but the reason why balance is so important, harmony, is because it creates a balance, right? And when you break and disturb that balance, what you're doing is causing a disruption in the universe. So I'm going to give you guys an example that I've seen in my book, the USA Guide, Mind, Body, and Spirit. And this book is really cheap. It's $25 on Amazon, y'all. So go ahead and get that book if you don't have it. If you already have it, then you probably already know this information. But this is an example. If you're throwing a rock, or if you're throwing something polluted, or just throwing trash on the floor, and you know in your mind that that's wrong, and you get used to that behavior, all right, let me tell you what happens. You're disturbing the harmony of whatever's in that environment. So when you're throwing rocks in a pond where there's a school of fish that sleep, it's like, why? For what? Like, what was the purpose? You know what I'm saying? Like, especially when you know the intent behind it is negative. Like, if you're just unintentionally doing it, I think that's a little different. But when you know that you're going to do something to disrupt something's peace or someone's peace, it's like, this is the kind of where the karma comes in, right? Because it has to be some balance. And don't think you about to just get away with some shit or, with some stuff. Sorry, y'all, for cussing. But you're not just going to get away with it. And the reason why is because even in this lifetime or the next lifetime or this other timeline that you're living in, it's going to always bite you in the ass. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why this happens is because, like I said, when you're throwing a rock into the pond, the cause of this disruption is you, right? The effect of it is the splash and ripples, you know what I'm saying, is now messing up the vibe. You know what I'm saying? It's messing up the environment that's going on with the fish and everything that's living in this area. Okay? And it's like, until this can settle, it's not going to be restored. And it's like I said, when you're doing it in a negative intent, and this is so important, y'all. You think this is just like, no, this is like an actual example of how you can disrupt harmony in your life because you created it in something else's life. You created a disruption in someone else's life for no reason, right? So this is how the world works. And not just the world, but the universe in general. So everyone and everything experiences karma. And the balance, like I said, between harmony is the reason why the karma takes place. But let's get on to this next slide. And you can have good karma too. But that's where we're getting into right now. So your disharmonious actions have now created karma. And it's going to flow back onto you regardless. So an example of it can happen in the next lifetime. You could basically be like, I'm going to commit a murder because I know I'm about to die, right? Oh, you think you about to get away with it? Your next life, trust me, is going to be something in your life where you're just either having extremely bad karma and you're wondering, why am I going through all these events? Why is this happening to me? It's because you did some messed up stuff in your past life. You feel me? So you gotta know the balance between that and know that this world and the universe has rules and laws and regulations that everyone has to follow. It's kind of like how, the government will say some slick stuff or do some things, and it's like they'll laugh about it, and you're like, wait, this is kind of sick. And it's like they just kind of brush past it, right? The reason why it's so important to have balance in your life is because it's going to carry on regardless, okay? So let's get on to this next slide. I don't know if my microphone is like picking up, as much as I'm hearing it right now with these sirens, but that's ridiculous, y'all. That's crazy. I don't know what's going on here. But yeah, I'll show y'all right here my little elements and stuff. You see my little balance stuff in my it's getting real out here. I'm getting real creative out here. Let me zoom in. These are 6 type of harmonies that, the universal law wants you to follow, right? Having the same viewpoints. Now, here's the thing. When you hear this example, you're thinking, oh, I gotta agree with the next person, meaning like I have to live my life out this exact way. That's not what it's saying. What it's saying is basically you're able to basically see their way of life and their way of thinking without judgment, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, meaning, this person could be a complete alcoholic, but on the low, he's a really good guy. He gives out money to the homeless, which, that being an extreme alcoholic throws your balance off to begin with. But, the point I'm making is like, you could judge a person for something that they're doing, to feed into their root chakra. And you may be like, that's not my cup of tea. But at the same time, this guy is really nice, or this girl is really nice. You know what I'm saying? Like, she really cares about the environment. She cleans up trash. You're not, nobody's perfect, right? So there has to be balance. But that also goes into speaking without conflicts, meaning that you can have a conversation with a person that has a different thought or a different mindset without, doing too much of the judgy or being just shut down. You can't just be closed-minded, especially if you want people to understand what you got going on. How do you want somebody to understand you and you're not taking the time or day to like understand what they're saying? That's not fair, right? And living together, okay? Like, you could be in an environment where this group of people has certain ways of life, and you have a way of life, right? That's where trading comes in. And it's crazy because me and my friends were actually talking about this. Me and Thomas and Mike were speaking on this topic, and we were kind of like just speaking on where we wanted to decide to live our, in the future and stuff like that. And I'm not going to go into too much detail, but long story short, we had different ideas and different reasons why each place was important, but they were different places, okay? So it's like we had to actually have a conversation and say like, no, we can still trade with each other and we can still do certain things, because I might not be on this continent or this area, but you can give me something that's beneficial and I can give you something that's beneficial, which goes into this example of sharing benefits. And it's not just giving things to each other, as far as like just tangibles and physical items. It also could just be an exchange of knowledge, or just what I'm saying. So it's also important to know about Dharma bliss. Now, this is a Buddhist term, and just to basically break that down, it's just self work, like being able to balance yourself in life to where you're like, I need to take time to go meditate, to do yoga, to work out, to eat right. If you're just eating McDonald's all day, to be honest, it's like your body's completely thrown off. Sometimes you have to let your brain exercise. Even reading is a good way to let your brain exercise. So it's like you have to take time to do shadow work, understand self, and all these things come into the six harmonies, and the final one is same precepts, right? So what that is like laws and rules, regardless of anything that happens to the system. It's like in any world, in any household, and in any environment, it's important to throw some laws and rules and regulations. The reason why is because if we were just like, we could just litter everywhere, imagine how trifling the world would be. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's important to just know and have common sense sometimes to know that rules can come into play as a good thing, and not necessarily just confining you into an area or a box. It's just about being mindful, rules as just being able to just speak to another person kindly, right? You want somebody to speak to you nice and sweet and all these other things, but you talk awful behind the scenes. That's not a good way of life, and that's not going to get anyone anywhere. So it's important to know that all these things come into harmony, right? So the law of harmony is extremely, extremely, extremely important. And that's why I really wanted to talk about it, because I feel like, here's the thing, we probably know about the universal laws, and I really wanted to make this a series because it's so important for us to go into why each law is important, okay? And I really want to hear everyone's personal views on what they think about each law that I talk about. You don't want to just disrupt the peace of others. You know what I'm saying? Even if you're intentionally knowing that someone hates to be woken up, they worked hard last night, right? And you just decided, I'm going to just go in there and start an argument just because I feel like it. Okay, well, let's see how like karma works into your favor, because it's like, it's just, you wonder why things aren't going your way in life. You wonder why all these awful things are happening, and you think, oh, I don't have to face any consequences by anything of any higher power, right? Because I'm not talking about the government. So it's important to know what I'm saying, right? But that's it, y'all. I don't want to keep this video too long. I wanted to just keep this nice, short, and cute. This is a series, so I really want to keep each video nice, short, and cute. And I'm just going to do my little outro. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram. Everything will be in the description below. If it is not, my Instagram is ItskeaRenee, and the main page for the Urban Traveler is at I'mKeaRenee. My main YouTube channel, as far as just random content and music, is Vibing with Kia. That is me. So make sure you go also subscribe to that content, to that page as well, because I'm gonna start doing camping videos very soon. But yeah, y'all. Peace.